Hello once again, everyone. So as the title of this video suggests, I am going to go over some semaphores for armor. Now, in case you don't know what a semaphore is on the top of your head, it is not an exciting new armored technique. Basically what it is it is a nonverbal gesture of your hands to indicate something, so a signal, essentially. Now, why semaphores for armor? Well, so first off, these are the ones that we use within RCH all the time, and they have worked very, very well, and so the ones I also expect to use at EHAW. I will make sure that people are very familiar with them because they work, right? So what they are is basically once you're in full armor, you may not necessarily be able to hear or be able to speak clearly. As such, nonverbal gestures over the cacophony of noise made by yourself and others becomes a lot more interesting and apparent, right? So these are meant to be used by pretty much everyone, but with a focus on armored combatants. So the idea here is, firstly, let's start off with the most important one, which is you want your visor popped, right? Now, in general, whenever I call a halt with armor, right, be it we're calling a halt between each other or what have you, you should usually have a third person standing by who's ready to come over and pop visors. If not, everyone's kind of keeping an eye on the armored person. So, oh, okay, they're done fighting, let's go get that visor popped. If you're working one-on-one with one, then you're ready to do that, what have you. Point being, though, the semaphore for this is when you need your visor popped, you are just to keep tapping your head like so. With gauntlets and a helmet on, it makes a very loud, distinctive sound, and it's pretty hard to mistake for anything else. And you just keep doing so. Preferably, you hinge from the elbow. This will make it a little bit more apparent, as opposed to just from the wrist could look like you're doing anything else. So, nice, good taps. People will hear that, and they will come over. Keep doing it until someone comes and assists you. Note, when you are helping someone with their helmet, it is good form to give them a touch, let them know you're there, under the helmet, give them another touch and let them know they're free, right? The same as if you're doing their helmet up. And the same signal can also be done for if you're closing a visor, I tend to tap it to indicate for someone to close it. Either way. Point is, you see someone doing this, drop everything you're doing, get over there, help their helmet. I have a whole video that's going to come up at the same time as this as to how to undo various kinds of helmets, so no one should be lost. Either way, though, that's the first one. Second one for armor is the idea of more general distress. So that's meant to be, relatively calm, or it could be more rapid. For more advanced distress, there are a couple different things you can do. So the signal that we have been going with, and you can do it with a weapon in your hand or not, is here, right? Just waxing your hands back and forth. You could also tap onto your thighs multiple times if you were unable to do that. Like maybe your arm harness is stuck. You should still be able to do that at least. But this or this will work out pretty well because it indicates just general distress. Now, general distress, what should that be? It could be something is stuck that you can't explain, something's not sitting right, and no one's near you, so you can't yell. It could also be something as much as you just need to be, something else is wrong, you need to be taken off the field or taken care of or what have you. That I kind of leave up to whoever needs it. If you need help immediately, one of those two. And if you have a weapon in your hand, when that happens, I recommend you drop it. Send the signal with both hands, that way no one can mistake whatever you're doing. Now, same vein, if you are killed in armor, or alternatively, if you are done fighting. So these are yieldings, basically. What I recommend you do is you take your right hand, and it should be your right hand, raise it up above your hand, right? This shows I'm done, right? So if I'm in the front of a line fighting, and I get killed, I lift this up, and I get myself out of there, because this is clearly indicating, hey, I'm dead, don't hit me. Now, the reason I have you do it with the right hand as opposed to the left is because, especially with spears or things along those lines, if you lift this and you don't have it perfectly up straight, this can look very much like still an attack. Remember, people are in limited visibility. This, on the other hand, pointed straight up, is pretty obvious, and also it's way easier to do because this is a little bit more ergonomic. Now, it's not to say that you couldn't still do this. I just want the right hand, your weapon hand, to be up and indicating I am no longer fighting. Same thing you could also do is if you want to yield and are unable to do so. Maybe your arms are trapped and you've been struck multiple times and people are going to keep hitting you. Go ahead and go to a knee. If things are bad enough that you can't move, just kneel down, stay tucked, and you'll be okay, right? No one's going to strike you when you're on the ground like this. They should not. They should never do that. You never strike someone on the ground. So in the event that I'm in the crush, I get hit, and I can't get out, go ahead and just drop down, turtle up, and you should be okay, right? Now, same vein, let's say that, for example, I see a couple people are stuck in that turtling, or alternatively, the whistle has been called, but none of the people in armor around me can hear it. How do I indicate for them to stop fighting? So we use whistles for our group fights, as opposed to having to call out hold, because guess what? Hold is a very useful thing that is often shouted during group fights. Either way though, point being, if you hear the whistle, that's your indication to, one, go ahead and take your weapon and put it down or something along those lines, retire it. You could also hold it up if need be, and then take your other hand, or alternatively, if you got this hand, doesn't matter, here. Now this is the modern signal for ceasefire, so we've just gone ahead and co-opted it, just right in front of the face, because guess what? In armor, you're generally looking about here-ish, so you'll see this hand going up and down. This is a very clear indication. Palm out, though. Palm here is more like John Cena, right? We want palm out because you'll also see the glove. Compared to silver, whatever color your glove is really stands out in contrast, I find. So nice and obvious. And this can be done with either hand. So you could even do it with both hands if you want. But point being, you hear a whistle, no one around you is reacting, right? Or people are reacting. It's good form to go ahead and start doing this so the guy opposite you goes, oh, okay, I'll stop fighting now. Now, beyond that, there are just a couple other little things. So one of the ones that I know that Kurt Holdfeder and his group at Triangle use is they like to use this as their ready. I personally prefer to give here or a salute in general. It doesn't really matter. Point being though, you may see that signal used, i.e. if people are ready to fight, so like says for example, you're all helmeted in, you can't hear the person saying make ready, you might see the guys opposite you do so or so. This indicates, okay, we're about to fight, let's go ahead and get ready as well. Most times people tend to get a good vibe for that, so I don't think it's necessarily needed, but I figured I'd talk on it, right? Either way, those are kind of the main semaphores that I wanted to go over. It's nothing complex, and it's all pretty straightforward because one, the whistle is very, very loud, and two, for the most part, you will be able to communicate. Like really it's the visor pop, general distress, yielding, and ceasefire that are the ones that that's where danger happens, right? Someone needs oxygen. Someone is stuck. Someone is being struck multiple times and can't get out. Or alternatively, someone has continued fighting. Because let me tell you, when you're in the middle and you're in a zone, you may not hear anything even if the whistle's directly in your ear. So these are the ones we're going with. We're not planning on adding any more because we're still in experimental phase. We may add more as time goes on, but regardless of whether or not you're coming to Yeehaw, I highly recommend you consider adopting these or some form of them because they should become semi-universal. At least these couple points are some of the most important ones I find since we are now hearing deficient, especially the visor pop. Either way though, thank you very, very much for watching. We'll go over some other techniques another time.